Okay, hello everyone. I'm Thang. I'm a teaching assistant for VietAI, and today, on behalf of my team, I'm gonna talk about an augmentation technique that can be applied for Vietnamese data, which is Backtranslation. Okay, but first let's talk about data augmentation, like what is this and why we need to use them. Well, in machine learning, we usually have a data set and we need to build a mathematical model, and we try to optimize this by feeding the data into the model. And one of the things that makes deep learning powerful is that we have a lot of data, but in some cases, annotated data sets is very limited, very small in size. For example, with Vietnamese corpus, so data augmentation is very important here. And And the idea of data augmentation is very simple, that we create new data from our training data without actually collecting the data. For example, in computer vision, we are given input images and we can modify it by flipping vertically or horizontally, or even changing the color, or even rotating it. And as you can see, data augmentation in computer vision is very popular, very successfully used in terms of improving model performances. But in natural language processing, the story is totally different, because we are working on text, and it's hard to augment text due to high complexity in language. And this is when backtranslation comes in. And the idea of backtranslation is very simple, that we translate a sentence from original language to an intermediate language, and then we translate it back to the original language. And by that, we use a better phrase of the original sentence. And to be more specific about how to do backtranslation and how effective it is, let's consider a typical machine learning problem in Vietnamese, which is footy sentiment analysis, in which we are given a bunch of reviews, and the goal is we need to tell whether the underlying sentiment is positive or negative. So the training data would be like many pair of reviews and label. For example, the sentence, the service here is too bad, would be labeled as negative, and the sentence I like eating at this place would be labeled as positive. And this data is very limited with only 10,000 training samples. So we need to augment using backtranslation, as I said before. So let's choose one example as an example for backtranslation. As you can see, the original sentence here, when translated to English, we would have I like eating food at this place, and then we translate back to Vietnamese. So the augmented sentence would be a paraphrase that has the same meaning as the original sentence. And by using backtranslation, we can double the size of the training set, and it's helpful for later training. Okay, so we understand the process of backtranslation, but the key thing here is that we need to train two translation models for translation from Vietnamese to English and from English to Vietnamese. And for the machine translation task, we make use of the transformer, which is the current state of the art architecture in machine translation. And I will not go into the detail about the transformer here, but you could imagine that the transformer consisting of two parts, the encoding part and decoding part. And the transformer is take the input sentence and encode it into a sequence of vector. And then the sequence of vector is fed into the decoder to generate the output sentence. In case you want to know more about the transformer, and I think the lecture from Mr. Thang is very cool lecture for you to check out, which has been recently published on our Facebook page. Okay, so for the training stuff, we make use of the dataset IWSLT15 with probably 133 training base sessions, and we managed to train 2 translation model using tensor to tensor library, and our model achieved the blue score that is competitive with the current state of the art. And after training, we also analyze our translation model by examining the attention mechanism in the transformer here. As you can see, we have the sentence "Tôi là một thầy giáo giỏi." When translate using transformer, it translates to I am a good teacher. And you can see here, when the transformer translates to good teacher, it's attend to the words thầy giáo giỏi, which is very makes sense here. And we also write collabs that can perform back translation interactively. For example, if you can type any input in Vietnamese, and we will output the paraphrase immediately. We also make a small experiment to investigate the effectiveness of back translation using the 40 sentiment dataset. And when doubling the dataset with back translation, we can achieve, we can improve our performance to 2.5% accuracy. And in conclusion, I want to say up that we introduce a new method for Vietnamese data augmentation, and we also open source our GitHub for further contribution. And we also organized a tech talk in last August with more focus on technical detail. So, I'm sorry. Wait. So currently our GitHub repository has over 200 stars. So we invite more contribution from the community, like better machine translation model or better data, better parallel data. Thank you so much.